Hey, hi, hello. Welcome back to Chicken Chronicles, the podcast where we chase shadows, solve story puzzles, and occasionally ask ourselves if our talking cat is secretly from the Moon Kingdom. I'm your host, Courtney, paranormal mystery author, deep feelings daydreamer, and proud magical mentor to three daughters and a handful of neighborhood kids who now fully understand the power, sparkle, and emotional depth of Sailor Moon. That's right, y'all. If you ever heard tiny voices yelling, Moon Tiara Magic, in your driveway, you are welcome. Okay, quick question. What if your life changed in a blink of a talking cat? Just imagine that you're late for school, you might have flunked your math test, or your hair won't cooperate, and suddenly a sassy feline tells you you're actually a reincarnated moon princess who has to save the world. That's right, friends. Today, we're kicking off a three-part miniseries diving deep into the magical, melodramatic, starry-eyed world of Sailor Moon. But not just the sparkles. We're going to talk trauma, transformation, and why this seemingly sugary series still haunts our creative hearts. But first, if you're loving this podcast and want to support the show, you should know the drill. I need you to follow, subscribe, leave a review, and maybe share it with a friend who still has their Hot Topic Sailor Moon hoodie in the back of their closet because I see you. I want to take a moment before we get too deep into this miniseries to apologize for my mispronunciations of anything. I did look up the pronunciations of names and things along those lines, but it is not my first language, so I do want to make sure that I say I'm sorry, and I will do my best. But thank you. So let's talk how it all began. The magic, the myth, and the moonlight. Because before we can actually dive into tiaras, trauma, and the power of teamwork, we must talk about the genre. Because Sailor Moon didn't just join the magical girl category, it redefined it. Technically, this series falls under the Mahou Shoujo, or magical girl genre, a space in anime and manga where girls use magic, typically through transformation, to fight evil. But before Sailor Moon, those magical girls were often more about everyday whimsy. Think secret powers, romance, sparkle, and maybe a talking pet or two. But it was very low on the whole monster battles and reincarnated warrior princess scales. Sailor Moon came in and it changed all of that. It fused magical girl tropes with Sentai action, like Power Rangers or Voltron, bringing team dynamics, coordinated uniforms, epic villains, and world-ending stakes into the genre. She was both the princess and the fighter. She cried and saved the universe. So while we still call it magical girl, the genre now has a pre-Sailor Moon era and a post-Sailor Moon era. And I'm not exaggerating. Let's take a step back and meet the woman behind the moon. Naoko Takeuchi, the creator of Sailor Moon, was in her early 20s when she brought this celestial saga to life. She was originally a chemistry major, and honestly, her love of science shows up everywhere in the series, especially in character names and attacks. She first created Codename Sailor V, which starred Minako Ayano, our future Sailor Venus, and the concept was popular enough to expand. That expansion, it became Bishoujo Senshi Sailor Moon, or Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. What's especially cool is that Takashi was heavily inspired by female friendship, mythology, and yes, high fashion. You can see it in the outfits, the ornate brooches, the use of the moon mythology and astrological the use of moon mythology and astrological motifs. She was writing a story where femininity wasn't a weakness, it was a weapon, a shield, and a source of power and transformation. Now, just a quick heads up before we dive into the rest of today's episodes. There are many versions of Sailor Moon out there. There's the manga, the anime, the original 90s dub, the Japanese sub, and reboot versions like Crystal. Plus, there's the musicals, live action adaptations, and movies. We'll touch on some of those in later parts of this miniseries, especially how they compare in tone, storytelling, and emotional weight. But today, we're focusing on the core essence of the story. Who is Usagi, i.e. Serena for those who've only seen the 90s dub? Why her arc hits so hard and what we as creatives and storytellers can learn from her journey. Let's rewind to the beginning. Season 1, Episode 1. Here we meet Usagi Tsukino, 14 years old, big-hearted, easily distracted, emotionally dramatic, and hopelessly late for everything. She's the kind of girl who trips over her own feet and her own feelings. And honestly, on the surface, she seems like the last person you would trust to save the world. But then enter Luna, the talking cat with a crescent moon on her forehead and a destiny-laced agenda. With one magical brooch and a slightly stern pep talk, Usagi becomes Sailor Moon, pretty guardian in a sailor suit fighting for love and justice. It's a transformation that feels like wish fulfillment until you realize Usagi doesn't actually want any of this. At least not at first. She panics during her first battle. She sobs in fear. She hides behind her friends when danger strikes. She is not the classic fearless heroine, and that's exactly what makes her unforgettable. From a storytelling perspective, this is a brilliant subversion of the chosen one trope. Most characters with a secret destiny lean into it, or at least look cool pretending. Usagi, she's resisting it. She's doubtful, she fails spectacularly sometimes, and that vulnerability is what makes her transformation hit so hard. Her growth isn't about unlocking a secret power, it's about building emotional courage in real time. Her arc is a masterclass in character development. The scared girl doesn't just get over her fears, she learns that she must act anyways. But the real tension of Sailor Moon, where the emotional core really tightens, is this. Usagi isn't just stepping into a role. She's remembering one she left behind. Underneath the bright colors and cartoon charm is a surprisingly heavy truth. Usagi is the reincarnation of Princess Serenity, the ruler of the Moon Kingdom, which fell in a catastrophic war. And with that fall came destructions on every level. Her kingdom is gone. Her mother, she died casting a final protective spell. Her beloved prince, technically, he died in battle. Her guardians, her closest friends, they were lost with her. That's not just a backstory. That's a spiritual weight Usagi carries without even knowing it. Imagine waking up every day not understanding why you're drawn to certain people, why you feel echoes of grief you can't explain. That's the undercurrent running beneath her entire transformation. It's not just about becoming someone new, it's about reconciling who she was with who she wants to be. And honestly, that's where the show sinks its teeth in emotionally. This isn't just a story about fighting evil with glitter and eyeliner. It's about the cost of survival. It's about identity fractured by time and memory. It's about asking, can you choose joy again after you've already lost everything once? And that's the secret that makes Sailor Moon resonate decades later. It isn't just a fun magical girl romp. It's a story about grief, friendship, fate, and choosing love again, even when the past tells you it might break your heart. Let's take a moment to zoom back in on Usagi. Like I said, she's emotional, she's a bit dramatic. She loves her snacks, naps, and arcade games, and she definitely hates studying. If she were sitting behind you in school, she'd probably be doodling hearts in her notebook while whispering too loudly during a quiz. She's not exactly cool or confident. She's not even particularly coordinated. And yet, she's the glue that holds an entire cosmic army of love and justice together. Because here's the secret. Usagi isn't powerful in spite of her emotions. She's powerful because of them. She cries and worries and cares. She sees people clearly even when they don't want to be seen. She forgives even before she's asked. She leads not with command, but with that connection. She doesn't win by hitting harder. She wins by reaching deeper. In fiction, and honestly in our world too, female characters are too often asked to be one thing. They're either strong or they're sensitive. They're brave or they're beautiful. They're logical or they're loving. Usagi, she's refusing to choose. She's a walking contradiction, and somehow it works. And that is why she endures. She isn't idolized, she's relatable. She's what we look like when we're trying, when we're growing, and just showing up in spite of the fact that our knees are still shaking. In writing, this is gold. So many protagonists get shaped to be likable first, layered second. Usagi, she's messy from the jump. She doesn't ask for your approval. She earns your heart simply by showing up again and again, no matter how terrified or unprepared she feels. If you're a writer or storyteller of any kind, this is your permission slip to write the messy girl, the scared boy, the reluctant leader, the flawed parent, the overwhelmed teacher, whoever they are. Let them stumble. Let them weep. Let them doubt themselves so hard they almost quit. And then let them rise. Not perfect, but willing. Now let's talk about her team, because Sailor Moon isn't a solo act. This story isn't about Usagi's transformation. It's also about the girls who orbit her, each one powerful in their own right, but even stronger together. And here is where the inner Senshi enter, Sailor Moon's core team of guardians. We have Amy Mizuno, Sailor Mercury. She's that genius student, calm and reserved, the strategist, the planner, and the brain. But behind all of that brilliance is someone deeply afraid. Of not being good enough. Next is Rei Hino, Sailor Mars, psychic priestess, hot-tempered, and fiercely independent. She challenges Usagi constantly, but beneath that fire is someone who's afraid to let people get too close. Next is Makoto Kino, Sailor Jupiter. She's tall, strong, and a total badass in a fight. But she's also the one baking cookies for her friends and dreaming of romance. Her softness in those key moments is a form of her bravery. Last is Minako Aino, Sailor Venus, the veteran, technically the first Sailor Guardian. She's charismatic and charming, yes, but she hides behind the dream of stardom to avoid facing her own past failures. Each of these girls reflects a piece of Usagi back to herself, and each one arrives with their own trauma, doubts, and hangups. But here's what's beautiful. They don't just support her growth. She supports theirs too. That's the beauty of ensemble storytelling done right. As a writer, you can create tension and contrast, yes, but also emotional interdependence. The team shouldn't just exist to prop up the main character. They should be on their own journey, shaped by and shaping each other. If you're building a cast, consider taking a cue from the Senshi. Balance their emotional and functional roles. Let them challenge one another, not just with conflict, but with care. Give them moments to lead, to fail, and to save each other. If you're stuck trying to figure out your team's dynamics, try assigning them Senshi archetypes. It's not just fun, it works surprisingly well. Mercury types think ahead, while Mars types, they throw punches. Venus types charms the room. Jupiter types, they hold it together. And every team needs a moon, someone to orbit around, to remind everyone why the fight matters in the first place. Okay, moment of truth. Which Sailor Guardian are you? I don't mean your favorite character, but which one feels like looking into a mirror? The one whose insecurities hit a little too close. The one whose strength shows up in ways you didn't expect. The one that makes you say, that's me. Because whether you're a creator, a reader, or just a human being on a growth journey, there's a reason the inner Senshi resonates so deeply. Each girl embodies more than just an element or color palette. They represent different ways of showing up in the world, ways we all wrestle with. Maybe you're a Mercury, that hyper-intellectual, cautious, maybe a little shy. You tend to over-prepare or even overthink, and you happen to wonder if your quietness means you're not enough. You could be a Mars, driven, intuitive, a bit prickly when you're overwhelmed, and people sometimes think you're cold, but really, you're just trying to protect your heart. There's a possibility you could be a Jupiter, fierce and loyal, strong on the outside, but soft on the core. You carry everyone else's burden like they're your own and still apologize for taking up space. There's also a possibility you could be a Venus, hiding pain behind a perfect smile, full of charisma and hope, but still chasing something you can't quite name. Or yes, maybe you're an Usagi, a Sailor Moon, sensitive, chaotic, emotional, but capable of astonishing love and courage when it matters the most. Maybe, just maybe, you're a combination of a couple of them or all of them. Because transformation isn't one moment, it's many small choices over and over again that slowly become identity. That's what makes Sailor Moon more than just a nostalgic feel. It becomes a kind of emotional mirror. So, let's try a bit of a creative challenge. Take a seat and write a scene, not a whole story, just a page, where your character faces a moment of transformation. Not physical, but internal. Maybe they're making a difficult choice. They're having to forgive themselves, or maybe they realize their power doesn't come from what they do, but who they are becoming. And if you want to go deeper, and I mean really sit with this, I've created a special Your Inner Senshi journal worksheet for you. It's free, it's heartfelt, and it's waiting for you at www.courtneyhickling.com/podcast. You'll find personality snapshots, creative prompts, and a few questions to guide your own transformation story on the page and in real life. Not a writer? No worries. There's space in there for you too. You don't need a pen to grow. You just need a little moonlight. Because the truth is, the Moon Kingdom isn't just out there. It's in you. And maybe it's been waiting for you to remember it. So, what did we learn today, friends? That being a magical girl isn't just about perfection. It's about vulnerability, growth, and choosing to stand in your power, even when your voice shakes, your eyeliner smudges, and your transformation brooch feels way too heavy. Whether you're writing a novel, raising your own little Senshi, or just trying to make it through the week without turning into a stress monster, you're doing better than you think. And the fact that you're still showing up, that is your magic. If today's episode sparkled for you, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave me a review. And hey, if you're feeling cute, drop me a moon emoji in your review so I know you're part of the Sailor Squad. Don't forget to download your free journal worksheet from courtneyhickling.com/podcast. It's packed with little moonbeam moments just for you. And while you're there, take a second and sign up for my newsletter. That's where I share all the behind the scenes from my paranormal mystery novel, plus updates on new podcast episode, creative inspirations, and exclusive content I don't really share anywhere else. Speaking of which, if you love dark twists, eerie reflections, and haunted hearts, be sure to check out The Missing Reflection. All the links you need are in the episode description. So for me, please keep creating, stay curious, and remember, even moon princesses start as messy teens with big hearts. See you in the next chapter. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Chickling Chronicles. Make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss a story or a conversation. See you next time.